Okay, well, good morning, Sherry. This is November 14th, 2023, your acupuncture integration. All right, so once again, no wrong answers. Everybody gets perfect because you're just describing what you notice in your own words. And yeah, we're all kind of poets in our own ways. You describe it however you want to. They're just words. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll take some crayons and paper, we can draw it out. You know, there's different ways to express, see what comes up afterwards. We did that once, actually, last Thursday at the reference library where we ran this session. I gave everybody a little card and people drew some pictures. You never know what shows up. Yeah, we did that, actually, yeah. It's a different way of expressing. They're symbols, right? What we put out, whether it's in words or in art or in singing or body movements, they're all just a symbol of something underneath. Yeah, it's sometimes more accurate than what we can say in words. Yeah. Yeah, it's like music. Music connects people because in that way, it's like you can use words are limited. Words are powerful too, though. So this is why we're going to listen to each other's words.
Other than the usual nap I have.
What do you have usually?
And there was one part there where there was like some flashing lights. I don't know what that means, but it's almost like when you're driving at night and you drive by the light lamp or the post or whatever it is, and you drive by and you get that flash in the car. That's how I was going for a little while there actually. And usually when you close your eyes you can see really dark. This time it was like really, it's like lit up, you know what I mean? It wasn't that dark. And, yeah, that's, other than that I had a good nap too, so. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good, got a good
That's
rest.
a lot from me. I mean, I don't usually see too much, but yeah, that was actually amazing.
It is
It
amazing.
actually went on for a while. Then somebody cleared their throat and then we stopped.
It's amazing what the brain can do. The brain can bring up many, many experiences.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exciting.
Well, my brain must be asleep because I saw nothing. It was just dark. Just completely dark. Apart, it's dark, but I could see, I don't know if it's a reflection of the color I'm wearing, but I see the same color in the reflection. So I don't know what that is because I have the color on. That's about it. It was just dark. That's all. And nothing, and I was trying to nap. Right? I couldn't do that. And then, yeah, it was mine. It was mine, yeah. And I think maybe that's why I saw nothing, because I was trying to control that. Yeah, because, no, it just happens sometimes. That's about it. It was just dark.
It's very interesting for you to see dark, right? Usually
Yeah.
you see
So.
a lot of different things. Yeah, that's fascinating. And then you also made some sort of correlation in your brain. Has something to do with what you were trying to do at the time. Yeah, it's interesting. Yes.
I find my
Yes,
eyes
Christine.
always get a little bit, not teary, but just watery and moist. And I started sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, this is so peaceful and quiet. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh, it's going on a little mini vacation for half an hour. Nobody can get to you. It's nice and quiet. I did have random thoughts. And as usual, I see spheres with yellow and green lights. But what happened this time, which never happened before, that I actually had, like you, for maybe a few minutes, just no thoughts and no visual anything, and it was kind of a quiet, peaceful room, and I just thought, that's where I want to be. So I really envy you for having that, but it gave me a tremendous amount of peace and focus and a sense of well-being. So thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for sharing. Thank you. It's so different every time. This is very beautiful. It's really the differences that really helps us. It's because you're going to see every variation with such vividness and clarity. And that's what resets everything. And then the brain doesn't judge no more. Although brain doesn't say, well, this is, oh, I need more of this, I need less of this. After a while, the brain just gets, oh. Because after you've seen enough, it's just like, oh, I get it. You just flow with every moment. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, please. Oreska.
One of the needles came off even before we started the session, but I decided to just not bother about it and see whether the effect was any different, and it wasn't. I don't feel any different. So all I can say is that I felt very peaceful today. I think it was like in the room was very quiet other than a little noise here and there. Really, I didn't feel anything. I think I must have fallen asleep because when you put the lights on, I suddenly got up. I thought it was good.
Thank you, Oreska. Thank you. Yes, Steve.
I found today, I mentioned yesterday my brain was on fire, was going. Today it was a lot more peaceful and calm, and the thoughts that were going in my head were finally positive thoughts for me, instead of worrying about everything that's going on. I had the same as you. My eyes started, my stress causes my eyes to water, but this time both of them were running a little bit. And the half an hour went extremely quick.
So different. Thank you so much. You start to witness different thoughts. Sometimes certain type of thoughts possesses our awareness completely. And when you become present with them, they serve their purpose. And then they kind of, in this moment, they're no longer necessary. They start to sort of lighten up. They lose that sort of, doesn't preoccupy our bandwidth. So your bandwidth becomes open. Then you notice other thoughts will show up. The thoughts that you classify as being sort of, we have thoughts, and then we have thoughts. And then we have the other type of thoughts, good thought, bad thought, your brain judges. When you start to see, oh, this is just a thought, it lightens up because you can see, even if you say, I prefer this thought over this thought, I don't like this thought, what the other thought, well, that's just another thought. So once you recognize all of that, you see it's just a lot of drama. And then there's, if it serves you, you will stay. If it doesn't serve you, and then you start other thoughts. And then you have the visual thoughts. The brain starts to generate these beautiful patterns. And sometimes, does it, sometimes it doesn't. Like the brain is like a marvelous thing. You start to see how this thing works. And then you will start to see this when you have less thoughts about time, like usually sometimes people say, oh my God, that was so long. That's because the brain is braining time. But once you realize this is not really a pleasant thing to do, right? You are present with that thought will come so fast and go. It's as if you didn't have that thought. Your mind is still checking time, but it doesn't check it for very long. And then there's no experience. It's as if you don't have experience of time. And then the time just has no meaning. You see, this is a very powerful thing. Like, I used to hate to wait around things, right? But now I can wait forever. Oh, bring it on. Let me see what I'm going to discover in this moment. I used to be like, the most impatient person. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you. But now I welcome the chance to wait, because I don't ask for it. But if it shows up, it's like, okay. Another moment to just notice. So thank you.
And can I add to that?
Yeah.
I've learned that too. We used to be extremely impatient. That I've noticed that, and I always give my daughter the metaphor of a handful of sand. Sometimes the more you squeeze and ask for something or want something, the more you lose. So it's that patience of holding a thought, a question, very gently in your hands, and then sometimes you go to bed and the next day it's like, yeah, that's what you need to do, or sometimes things just fall into place automatically without having to forcefully intervene and cause a fight or starting something or trying to fix something. Sometimes stepping back's a good thing, and I'm very metaphorical, so I love the handful of sand. That, it's that gift we each have, and it's for each one of us. What does that mean, and how do you do it to balance it? So
Handful of sand.
Yeah, so the more you want something in a relationship, at work, the more you squeeze and force it, the more you lose. So to have that quiet, gentle openness with yourself too, who you are as a human being. Carry yourself gently with like sand. The more you force yourself, I should be more like this, and this, the more you lose of yourself. I wish my kids were more like this, and this, and they should go to school and this, the more you lose. So it's a gentle, yeah, I love that metaphor.
I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, it carries me. When I get anxious and I think, I want to do this, I'm going, open your handful of sand, relax. This is how you have more of yourself and other relationships.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Nice. It's nice when we come together as a group in this space of like presence, those kind of metaphors, like we can both sometimes feel that, the truth of that. Thank you so much, Christine.
And for me, the same thing. My eyes were watering a little bit, and then it's on the right side, and like one tear dropped, I just kept feeling my body. I guess I felt like a stillness, and then I realized I forgot to swallow, so I swallowed, and then I could feel like my left side going numb, my right side, like I could feel my right side, and then I felt like my arms get like hypersensitive, where you feel like the hairs on your arms like stood up, and then I got this like flutter in my chest, I guess, and then I caught myself labeling it, like you said, I don't like this feeling, and then it left, and then the lights turned on.
So powerful.
I wish I could get it out.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So sensory awareness. See, when your awareness becomes, when you become present, thoughts don't take too much bandwidth. They're very light. It's like weightless. It's like you're not carrying this heavy burden anymore of thoughts. And then you become like observing all the present moment experiences of your body. Your body just full of signals. This thing's alive. We don't pay attention to this thing, but this thing is totally sending signals to the brain. At first, the brain doesn't even know what to think. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it tingling? What is going on? Is it even there? It's like, whoa, right? The brain has no way of, but you are becoming in your body, and this is a very powerful thing to be in your body. When you start to really pay attention to your body likes it, it heals, because we're not fighting it. We're not putting into awkward sort of demands upon it without knowing. We're doing it to it. Like a shoulders start to relax, things start to relax. So thank you very much. And then when you notice that, the heart's doing this, and you catch that thought, the thought is saying, oh, heart is pounding. Sometimes the brain will say, oh my God, this is a bad thing. My heart is pounding. Well, of course your heart is pounding, right? What's wrong with that? Because it's trying to push blood, right? But the brain has been trained to judge. And that thing, you got to be present with that. If you're present with that, then you will just come and go, just like you say. It's gone. Otherwise, that can actually lead a trigger into many, many doctor visits. I've seen a few of those.
So I'm going to ask you something, is it okay if I ask? So last year I had a horrible couple of weeks of vertigo where I just couldn't walk at all, was bedridden and stuff. So I'm a year and a half after and I'm fine, and I'm sure fixed what I think caused it. But, like yesterday morning I woke up, I'm thinking, do I feel lightheaded? Do I feel off? And all of a sudden it puts me back into this horrible loop where you're so aware of your body, but then you almost have to use your brain to say, no, you're fine, you're not having any hearing loss, you're okay. So I hear what you're saying. I'm very aware, I'm very highly sensitive, so I'm very aware of my body. But getting over that triggers one hell of a fucking bitch. Mm-hmm. If anybody's had vertigo, it's horrible. And I'm sure that's what pushed me over the edge from my work experience with PTSD. So and I was doing so well. I can still play tennis. I'm very focused. When I talk to people, I'm fine. But then you get up off the chair and you think, was I just lightheaded? And it triggers you and goes into that loop. So sensory awareness is great, but it can also be a tremendous cause of anxiety. And then you have to use your head. So I'm just wondering what your insights are with that, because it's exactly what I'm struggling with since yesterday, and I fucking hate it. Pardon my French.
No, it's good. I love your French. So, I even speak French. So this is a very important point, okay? It's a very subtle point. I'm going to see if I can see how it lands. I'm going to try to just explain what's going on. So you have a sensory trigger. Mm-hmm. And that sensory trigger could be like a sciatic nerve, okay? It could be a body memory from a trauma state, right? Your body remembers certain things, okay? It's a bodily memory. Those are all triggers. And what happens, what trigger does, your brain will immediately react with a judgment. Bad, I want to get the fuck out of here, right? Right? So that thought. So we think we're paying attention to the triggers, but really your awareness at that moment is completely occupied by the thought of that has been triggered by the original trigger. So we think it's that sensation that's causing us the problem. No, it's actually the thought. So the reason that you were able to sort of back up and says, let me reassess, reevaluate this. You know that hands of talk therapy, let me think about it in a different way, right? Let me reevaluate, well, hang on a second here. I'm still here. My heart is pounding, nothing's happened. This has happened before. I've checked with the doctor before. There's really nothing else wrong, right? In order for you to even go to that place quick enough, you have to have presence. It's the key is to be here now. You see? See, we cannot stop our brain from braining certain thoughts of caution, right? Exactly, that's what the brain does. But we just don't want to be looped by it. It's being looped by it that takes away our option to sort of go to the next braining thought that comes up to say, hey, you're okay. See, that self-soothing kind of ideas is not enough. You have to be present in the moment to actually use it. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you're already caught up in the loop. So all the stuff you have learned from reading books or from your good friends' advice, from your own counsel, right? Not accessible because you're in the loop state without even knowing. What loops us is actually not the trigger. It's actually the thought. That is why, okay? That is why you can refrain. You see, there's different practice. It will happen to you naturally in here because as you become very present, right? You will start to notice sensations. And then you'll suddenly change. You experience with very sensation will change. So that sensation could be a sciatic nerve, or it could be emotional memory, right? And this is what's happening, right? So all this can happen. So the key is, it's sure you can have reframing ideas, but they're already in there, but sometimes they're not accessible. That is the problem. It's not because we don't know how to have another way of thinking. It's because we get looped in by the first thought that comes up. Does that make any sense? Yeah? So the key here is to develop presence. Presence, 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 presence is the key. And when that place of presence, it will just come to you naturally. And then the system will work for you. Does that make any sense, Christine? Did I answer a little bit better? Somewhat?
I know what you're saying. Your mind says, was I dizzy? Okay? And even though you go, no, I wasn't dizzy, for the next 2 hours, it's going, was I dizzy? So it takes over. Even though you are going, I am fine, I am fine, I am fine. It is stuck in there.
And it's suffering.
See, this is why I am fine doesn't work. Because what the thought of I am fine is actually hiding something. Because you know how people say, I don't care what people think about me. What they do, that's why they're talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care, I don't care what people think about me.
Oh, that's my husband. I'm trying for him to...
They're hiding, they're unaware of another thought underneath. Okay? They damn well care so much. That's why they keep talking about the damn thing. The guy who doesn't care doesn't even, he's enjoying smelling the roses, having a good time. So that's why you got to be careful with those thoughts that comes up to you, right? You can have all kind of positive thoughts in there, but what the positive thought is hiding the opposite. We're always carrying both thoughts we don't know about. Every time you say something, you're carrying the opposite. So that's why the solution ain't thoughts. It's sensory awareness. It's in fact back to your body.
So if I do this positive self-talk, like I'm fine, stop it, blah, 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 you're okay. So what should I do instead?
That's a weight. See, you're still carrying a weight. It's a burden. That's stoicism, positive psychology, right? So what we do instead, 1 o'clock class, we develop sensory awareness training. You go back to the sensory level. So we train sensation. You see, this is the band of your awareness. It has only so much width, right? So if you get preoccupied by thoughts, no matter what it is, it could be the thought of even trying to have a good thought. It's still a thought, okay? That carries your entire band of awareness. So what happens is you're carrying a burden. So what we do is we're going to break that up into sensory awareness. In order to do that, your ability to pay attention to sensation has to be very powerful. Because you see, we are very smart, that's why we're here. Right? Our brain, that brain can bring a lot of ideas, complicated ideas. So we're taking away our awareness. There's not enough sensory awareness. This is why we need to go to sensory. It's all about sensory awareness. And then somebody with sciatic nerve is going to say, holy smokes, you don't know my sensation, it's just too much, right? This is why it's so hard to get to that place. But that is how you have, that's the path. That's the path through sensory awareness. We find like a neutral sensation, which is here. That's what Buddha taught, right here on the top of the lip, right? It doesn't work for everybody either. There ain't no one solution that works for everyone. If some child was traumatized by an asthmatic attack, he has some choking areas where his breath becomes a trigger for his thoughts. If you take him to the sensory awareness of a breath, that would just drive him crazy. They would just abandon you. They say, this doesn't work for me. So everybody has a path, right? But generally speaking, this spot is a good spot, okay, to start with. That's what we teach at 1 o'clock. Sensory awareness, sensory awareness. Then what happens, because you're sensorily aware, your bandwidth is not preoccupied by thoughts. And what happens is when that thought comes up that I need to be scared, it's only a thought. It remains a thought. It's only when we get possessed, then we start to fight it. And then what will happen, we just even more sucked into the thoughts. Thought, sensation, thought, sensation, thought, sensation. Sensation is the path. It's all about sensation. So once you come here, you start to notice your body sensation all naturally. In those moments, you are here now. You cannot be anywhere else except here and now when you are sensory aware. So we train our ability to sensory awareness. We're too good at thought awareness already. That's why things like mantras doesn't have this kind of powerful benefit as sensory awareness training. Things which are sensory awareness training are like yoga because you're paying attention to your body. I saw you tap, right? ETF, okay? They teach you how to pay attention. But all those things require you to actually still do something. But this one doesn't require you to do anything because you breathe naturally already. And when you breathe, the sensation here changes. And when you are looped, your body will react to the loop, the chemistry, and then your breath will become heavier and this sensation will suddenly brighten up and that will pull you right back to the here and now. So that's how you stay in the here and now. You develop a reflex through this training. So that is the answer, right? That's how you do it.
So metaphorically, for me, what I hear you say is rather than thinking, like in my head, I'd have to basically go into a pool and swim underwater. Because when I'm underwater and I swim, I usually float and swim as long as I can because I love it underwater, in a pool, that is. I feel safe. And there I never have any thoughts. So what I hear you say is that I need to learn from rather than me, everything's fine and stop it, blah, 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 to basically in my head go into a pool underwater.
This is where you go to. You go to here. You see, you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
You focus on that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a thought. Okay, whatever that label on top, it's not the answer. It's the actual feeling underneath the label. It's the key. Sensation. It's a very subtle point. That's why if you come at 1 o'clock, I'll show you how to do it. Because we're so attentive to thoughts. Even if you put yourself at a peaceful place, let me imagine I'm at a nice little beach somewhere. The thing is, all those techniques are not available to you when you're looped. See, when you're actually looped, you cannot actually go into that nice warm place because that is still a thought-based redirect. You see, you can do a thought-based awareness or sensory-based awareness training. They're two different things. So that's why all the thought-based ones, that whether you use imagery or you use mantra, which are words, right? Or positive psychology, it's called reframing, right? Or just stoicism, which I need to be taught, right? To get through this. All those are thought-based. Sensory-based is very different. All of them are like a yoga, ETF, and that kind of stuff, right? Or Anapana, this, right? This one I feel like is the best, right? After all, Buddha recommends it. Why? Because it doesn't require you to actually do anything. So a lot of the time, the breath techniques don't work either. People say you just breathe in a certain way. But underneath that type of training, there's still this idea you have to think. And you don't know how, because when we're looped, you can have the best tool in your pocket, but we always habituate to the one that we most common, even if it's not the right tool, right? So we end up, it's like using a hammer when you're supposed to use a saw. Even though you have the saw, but you don't remember to use it, you keep doing this when you have to switch the tool. We're not present in the here and now to do it. So the key is about being present. So sensation is the key. It's very difficult for some people to get down to the sensory level because the brain is so incredibly powerful. It brings up this thought that takes away their awareness. They think they're paying attention to the sensation. They're not. They're paying attention to thinking about it or imagining it. So this is where we debug. Hey, this is my job at 1 o'clock. To help you get to that
Do you have
place.
it here or just
No, it's online. So Talisa comes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes. So you're all welcome. 1 o'clock, we do this. So this is sort of introduction to develop what's it mean to be present. You've all witnessed a little bit of it, okay? Most of you have anyways, right? When you're present, you start being calm. Even though the brain is doing, but you still calm, right? You start to see this can happen. So now, how do you stay there when you're not in this room with no acupuncture needles? Because you got to get out there and start having a good time, right? Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones that can become the trigger for us, right? And then now we kind of start to avoid certain things we don't want to avoid in our life because we're afraid the thoughts that comes up. We get possessed by certain thoughts. So if you know how to stay in the present moment here and now, then everything becomes like your oyster. Like if the world's just a beautiful place. And that's how this whole process works. My words are limited. I can only do so much with words. I think the key is just to keep showing here and just keep, and then try Anapana at 1 o'clock and see. I'll show you, and then you will see how will happen. Then you would literally have this reflex will come to you when you need it the most. So suddenly you will have this thought that says, oh my God, I don't like this. And the thought says, I should like it. Well, then you realize they're just thoughts. You come right back, almost immediately you're back at your sensory level. And next moment, it's gone. It's like you're here now again. You saw that today. Yeah, you saw the thought come and the thought go. So thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. And did I miss anybody? I'm pretty sure I did. Dave. Yes, no, Dave. Sorry, just one more.
Mine was.
And also, yes, and yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah, mine was kind of silly. Last thing I did before leaving the house was book house cleaners, and they had Burning Good Ladies playing in the background. As soon as I shut my eyes, my internal jukebox went on, and I trapped myself instantly with okay, this would be far more fun with a band I liked. And there we are, it just stuck. And so then, yeah, I did eventually relax into what we're not supposed to do here, but just relax into body presence and everything else. But the first 5 minutes of me going, that was a rookie move. I totally did that to myself. So anyway, that was it. It was not an alarmingly big session, but everything did work out in the end. So.
Thank you, Dave.
Sure, sorry, yes.
That's pretty concise compared to the last guy.
Oh,
Thank you.
I don't know what I'm looking for here other than pain relief. I understand what you guys are going through all your own, but I don't know what I'm getting out of it.
That's a powerful place to be. Mm-hmm. To show up and not knowing, ultimately. I know it sounds crazy, right? Some things is just like that. This is a very unique situation. It just show up without knowing. It takes a lot of courage. That takes a huge courage. That is openness. And I can appreciate what you're going through. Physical pain is an incredibly powerful trigger.
It is.
It's like the
I've
most
had
powerful
physical pain
trigger.
Since I was 16, so I know what it's like. But I think it's not having an expectation, which is what is good, because then your brain will just, or your body will give you what you need. But I just encourage you to keep coming, because in the beginning I was not getting, well, you think, I don't know, you expect. So I just let go of my expectations, and then sort of amazing things started happening. So, yeah.
My sleep's tremendous. I sleep really well,
Yeah,
which affects my mental wellness.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to say anything? Sorry.
No.
Yeah, Ed? So thank you for helping me. Thank you, everyone. November 14th, 2023, Ear Acupuncture Integration. And may all beings be happy.